Welcome to Awakening Mindfulness at Work, a conversation that matters. I'm Pierre
And I'm Sarah Killeen. We are bringing to you conversations and practices to cultivate presence, calm, and balance in the workplace.
So let's begin right here, right now.
Welcome, mindfulness friends, to this new week, this new episode. And let's start with a minute of just noticing the breath. So, whatever you're doing right now, sitting, walking, driving, cooking, eyes open, eyes closed, can you notice your breath? Not trying to control the breath, just noticing how the breath is just breathing itself, right? It's finding its own pace. It's felt through the body. It's happening on its own. Maybe one deep breath. Great. Welcome to the present moment. Now, Pierre, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And the topic I'd like to bring up today is related to a very common belief that we hear quite often from participants and in general, which says, I don't have time to meditate. So we hear this very often. I'm sure we can all relate to it, knowing how our lives tend to be pretty full. We have schedules that are packed. We always have competing priorities and urgent things coming up. So, however, here is the thing. I see a whole world of possibilities that can open up when we bring mindfulness and mindfulness meditation into our daily rhythm. And yet, for many, these possibilities feel blocked. And that is because, partly because of this belief of, I don't have time to meditate. So today, I would like to flip the script and suggest this different idea, which is instead of thinking of meditation taken time, starting to think that meditation makes time. And it truly does. So now, obviously, this is a big topic, and today we're just going to scratch the surface. And definitely, we'll come back to these topics and tackle different aspects of it. But for now, I'd like to offer just one scenario and invite you to play with that scenario and see how that resonates with you. And then I'm going to check in, of course, with Sarah and see what her take on it too. So imagine this scenario. You're in a meeting with your team and your boss makes a comment about your project, and boom, in an instant, your nervous system is hijacked. You feel tight, maybe even defensive, maybe even panicked, and a whole storm gets unleashed inside of you. So, this is where mindfulness can be a game changer. So, for that trained, mindful mind, this is how things might unfold. With mindfulness of thoughts, you notice the avalanche in real time. And instead of getting so taken by it, so entangled by it, you realize, oh, I'm having these unpleasant thoughts right now. And you check in what's happening in your body, what's happening emotionally speaking, and you acknowledge it. And you allow those feelings for now. And here is the magic. Instead of getting swept away by these reactions and then spiraling down from there, you find yourself taking a few deep breaths and staying grounded. And this wave of thoughts and feelings and sensations tend to pass much, much sooner. And then after the meeting, instead of continuing to replay what happened in your mind, of course, over and over again, and venting to different friends and feeling totally derailed, you start to reorient your energy towards productive things, towards problem solving, being more creative, and also doing so with being kind to yourself, but also to the people around you, and even to the boss, and treat everyone with that kindness and care. So in summary, instead of this experience taking hours or days and taking up so much of your energy, you would bounce back in a fraction of that time. So this is not only time saved, but also emotional energy preserved, and you feeling better much sooner. So meditation makes time. So what do you think, Sarah? Or any other thoughts you have around this topic?
Yeah, I would even go further than that. And I'd say that meditation has the power to slow down time. And think about 5 minutes of your time and you being completely present in those 5 minutes. How would the feeling of that be? And then 5 minutes of you not being present and being checked out. And how long would those feel like? And so, with mindfulness, being present, being really in the present moment, really being there, being right here, right now, time expands. I think that's my take is when the more mindful we are, the more and the more we practice with mindfulness meditation, the more we become, we have this superpower to slow down time because time does expand when we are present. So I think that's something that that sometimes we forget. We think, oh, if we have 1 hour of our time and we need to find 15 minutes to meditate, that means we will only have 45 minutes to do the rest of the life things, do the washing, the cleaning the dishes, washing the dishes, and bring the kids to school, and do our report, and walk to the subway and cook and do all those things. But if we are completely present during those 45 minutes, maybe they will feel like 3 hours, right? And we'll be a lot more productive, we'll be a lot more creative, we'll be able to actually do more and enjoy more because it will become quality time because we're
Mm,
present, we're not checked out. That's what's coming up for me.
yes. So in addition of meditation making time, like the scenario I mentioned, what you brought up, Sarah, is that meditation slows down time. It's not just meditation; it's meditation and the mindfulness mindset and way of being that meditation brings. That's why meditation is so crucial because it's training for our not only our mind but our emotions, our nervous system, our body. So yeah. So what it does, it slows down time. So what a great way to gain time is by slowing it down. And then another thing you mentioned that I think it's worth reiterating, this kind of mindfulness presence brings a higher quality for the time we have. So a quality of time is so crucial. Quality of time is what first it makes us feel more content, but also it fosters good relationships with other people, and it fosters paying attention to things we otherwise miss. And when we miss things, that can have a lot of consequences. We can miss things with other people and our interactions with other people, and therefore misconnecting with them, misunderstanding them. We can miss practical things and then miss creating good outcome in our projects and our work because we didn't pay attention to certain elements of the work. So yeah, it's slowing down time, it's quality time. Hmm.
Mm. And you're talking about, fostering better relationships and more nourishing relationship with other people. What about the relationship with ourselves? What
Mhm.
could be more worth than investing time into developing that relationship with ourselves? We like talking about mindfulness practices and especially meditation as a way to hang out with ourselves. And this is really developing that relationship we have with ourselves. If you think about your close friends, if you never took the time to sit down with them and have a cup of tea and catch up and say, "Well, what's going on with you? What's going on with you? You know, how is it going? How is your life going? How are you really doing?" If you didn't invest that time and that energy, would they still be your close friends? Certainly not. So why don't we do that with ourselves as well? Why don't we look at that time that we would spend with ourselves, meditating, hanging out with ourselves, catching up with ourselves, extending compassion and kindness and joy and love to ourselves. Why does that not count as time that is absolutely critical? It's not a nice to have, it's a non-negotiable. Why don't we look at it that way?
Yes, and that brings to mind this picture or this visual of our relationship with others is a mirror of our relationship with ourselves. So they're so interconnected. So if we're good with ourselves and we have that understanding, we make room for what's happening for us, we understand what's behind the scene and the thoughts and emotions and how our body's reacting. So if we understand that and take time to listen, we're probably going to also be encouraged to do this with others and create great relationships with others. So the two, I think, they're kind of interconnected.
Mm.
And I'm getting to another variation of the topic today, like more of a slight enhancement of the topic. Instead of meditation makes time, meditation makes quality time. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, very true. And just to come back to what you just said there, I think it's something we teach very often in our workshops is we start with the self-awareness piece, right? We start with becoming more mindful of our emotions, of our thoughts, we start by slowing down, we start by, noticing and being more self-aware.
Mhm.
And then we open it up to include other people's emotions and other people's thoughts. And it's very difficult to do that, to include and being aware of other people's experiences when we're not doing it with ourselves. We're missing a piece of the puzzle. So really, the making time for this is going to give you back as well a lot of time that would otherwise maybe used in conflicts or trying to solve issues or problems or conflicts or arguments that might come up because we were not mindful and present in the first place. Um, yeah. So
Mhm,
time. And what is time
mhm,
anyways? It's a very subjective, it's a very subjective concept, right? Like we're saying, 1 hour. If thinking about work, using one of our methods, for example, the 15 minutes method, putting the timer for 15 minutes and concentrating on just this one task for 15 minutes, we might achieve a lot more in those 15 minutes and feel a lot more accomplished and a lot more proud than if we had the same 15 minutes but we were half checked out, juggling between things and not being mindful and not being present. So
yeah.
time is what we make of it, really.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost transcending the traditional definition of time. Like time, I have to do this in this time, this in this time, and treating it very differently, which also brought to mind this idea of, how about if we take on whatever we're doing right now? Let's say you're working on a task, going back to the work situation. What if we approach that task as if we have all the time in the world? And look at it and work on it with that mindset. So yeah, like challenging the traditional definition of time and the traditional approach to time. And amazingly speaking, I think this is all like paradoxes. Like if we do that, we're likely to discover we can accomplish more, but also we can be more satisfied, and we can also help the people around us feel calmer and more
Mm.
inspired. Yeah.
And this is linked to our set of values as well, and the intentionality of how we want to live our lives. Because when you think about it, time is a currency. Time is a currency. And so how do you want to spend it? It's just like with money. What are how do you like spending your money? Are those things that you'll spend without looking? It's your guilt-free spending. You'll just spend on it because it just really matters to you. And some things you're not okay with spending money on because they're not that important. So you'd rather keep your money for things that really matter. Same with time. And that's when we need to audit then how we use time as a currency. How are we spending our time? Spending our time, it is a currency. Making sure that it's aligned with what really matters, because so many people at the end of their lives, they look back and they say, I have one regret is I didn't spend time on things that really mattered to me. And that's a what a horrible feeling, what a miserable feeling that you're at the end of your life and you look back and you say, I had all this time and all the things that I did with that time, none of those mattered actually. That's a little bit grim, but you don't want to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. And now is the time to be thinking about this. So I think a great idea for a future discussion came up, Sarah, which is that checking in into how are we spending our time. And I think that I won't expand now, and I think with our time now, talking about time, that deserve its own time. So we'll come back to that in a
Yes.
future conversation. Yeah, how are we spending our
Oh,
time?
so many things are coming
Yeah,
up right now for me. So let's just
yeah.
stop the recording now and we'll come back to that.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and see you at the next episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for spending it with us.